Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra 150M. You can see this stainless steel Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of this video at any time to go to our full listing for this watch with additional photographs, accessories included, and of course complete pricing information for the model. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, the Aqua Terra at 41.5 millimeters is perfectly proportioned. Now, it is a large modern sports watch. Across the broad of the case, the round of the case, it is 41.5 millimeters, but from rigid end link to rigid end link across the bracelet, it has a far more substantial 50.5 millimeter span. So while 41.5 millimeters, the watch wears considerably larger, perhaps closer to a true 43. Now, it is wonderfully thin, being 13 millimeters thick. It has a generously sloped sapphire and bezel, so this more formal Seamaster reference is easier to wear with a tight sleeve or dress cuff. It's worth mentioning that in the early 2000s, as the Seamaster 120, the long-running dress refined reference of the Seamaster family and a descendant of the 1948 first Seamaster, began to be phased out, the Aqua Terras took over as the more refined member of the Seamaster family. Now, they were joined by the Seamaster 300 meters, the Bond watches, which were the entry level, and in 2005 by the Seamaster Planet Oceans, which were larger, somewhat heritage-inspired, but more technically inclined and more given to outsized case proportions. So the Aqua Terra became the gentleman's reference within the Seamaster line, and it serves that purpose beautifully, giving the user a rugged, water-resistant sports watch, but at the same time, aesthetic versatility to wear well with almost any attire. Now, on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters, you can see that the proportions are ideal, and that's aided and abetted from a comfort standpoint by this beautiful 3-link, tapered, alternately brushed and polished bracelet and gorgeous, fully polished, twin-trigger, double-deployant clasp. For those who are keeping score, this is known as the 1586 bracelet and clasp with the 985 end pieces. Now, the watch is very comfortable because the bracelet itself is wonderfully minimalist. Now, we've come a long way since the punch pins of the original Seamaster 300 bracelets. Here we have Rolex-style screws, easy to adjust with multiple removable links and a couple of half links for small adjustments. It's paired with a beautifully polished double deployant with a positive closure and a very low profile when closed. It doesn't have the bulk of one of the milled out clasps as seen on the Planet Oceans and the 300 meters. Likewise, it doesn't have the bulk of the oyster clasp seen on the Rolex Submariner and Sea Dweller models. Beautifully tapered, it's a very subtle bracelet, featuring broad center links and minimal flanking links. The taper is so gradual that although you can see it, to run one's fingers over the bracelet is to be completely unaware of the step down from link to link. It's beautifully finished, and for a watch from a mainstream manufacturer, the attention to detail really is second to none. This feels almost like a boutique brand piece. Beautifully finished on the case. You can see there's a subtlety to the use of bevels, the contrasting polished, and on its flanks brushed surfaces, really adding to the refined air of this upscale Seamaster reference. Now you can see on the dial what Omega calls its teak deck concept. That is the vertical striation of the silver dial. It has a little bit of an air of a teak yacht deck to it. This is more of a yachtsman's Seamaster than a submariner's Seamaster or a down and dirty utilitarian sports reference, and that's echoed all across the dial, where high-quality applied elements really set this apart. You can see the Omega marquee and Omega logo at 12 o'clock, beautifully applied, as well as all of the fully loomed dart-style indices. Now, you do have a broad arrow minute hand for easy legibility in any light, and a Dauphine and fully loomed hour hand. So this is a true sports watch, being legible in broad daylight as well as low and no light conditions. Now, there's further differentiation and detail added to the dial in the form of the stepped minutes and seconds track outboard of the dart indices for the hours, and a beautifully framed trapezoidal date window for the date itself. It actually does a great job of counterbalancing the index at 9, allowing the watch to maintain symmetry and balance in spite of the use of a date window. Very well planned. You'll also notice how minimal the bezel is. In contrast to the 300 meters in the Planet Oceans with their broad, technically oriented unidirectional rotating dial bezels. Here we have more of a silver halo that accentuates the size of the dial, letting it read larger than a 41.5mm watch conventionally would. It also features a countersunk and beautifully knurled crown, very substantial in the hand. You can see when it's pulled out to extremity, it does hack the balance, so this COSC chronometer, this is a caliber 8500, can be precisely synchronized to a known accurate reference time. Now, it also features another useful function for those who are frequent travelers. It does have an hour adjustment function like many Panerai caliber 9000 and 3000 references do, so you can independently adjust the date as well as the hour forward and backwards as you travel through time zones. And you'll notice as the seconds hand continues to tick, this does not interrupt the function of the balance, so it doesn't affect amplitude or timing as you make your adjustments to suit. Now on the case back, you can see that caliber 8500. Originally introduced in 2007, this was the first Omega in-house caliber built from scratch to accommodate George Daniels' co-axial. It's sports watch tough. It features a 60-hour power reserve. Rolex style, it has a full balance bridge which you can see anchored on both sides of the balance wheel, as well as a free-sprung balance, so shock-induced timing variation is really not an issue with this watch. It's very shock resistant. It also features not one, but two mainspring barrels in series, so it has plenty of even torque band between full and empty. It's not the kind of watch that's going to speed up or slow down dramatically. As its power reserve discharges, there's a great deal of torque stability throughout the mainspring barrel's wind from 0 to 60 hours. This is a true chronometer in every sense, and Omega's internal standards for the watch were far stricter than the COSC. Everything was ensured chronometer spec in the case, and everything was ensured beyond COSC chronometer specifications at the time it shipped. So this is a remarkable type of watch, being both elegant and rugged at the same time. It's incredibly versatile. This is an essential element of the modern Omega catalog precisely because it allows the Planet Oceans to be oversized and bold. It allows the 300 meters to be entry-level and utilitarian, and yet it allows the Seamaster line to still have a watch that's upscale, ready for anything, be it a business suit or a bathing suit. You can see this Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra 150-meter automatic on our website, watchyouwant.com.